as we're counting down to the historic AX-4 space mission. There's been a bit of a delay. Ideally, by this time, we should have been talking about the launch, but because of weather, it's been pushed by 24 hours or perhaps more. In the next few hours, we should really know if the launch is going to be taking place on Wednesday as planned. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. I'm going to be running you through all of the updates over the next 30 minutes. Let's talk right now about what the status of this mission is. It's been weather, essentially, that's played Spoilsport, which is why originally the launch, which was planned for June 10th, has been pushed. SpaceX is the final authority on when the launch will take place, but I must highlight for you that while I've been tracking the weather here, it looks bright and sunny right now. Don't be fooled, because every evening there's been thunderstorms, which has been the biggest concern right now. If you look at the forecast for the next 1 week, in fact, there's about a 40% chance of rain. And that's why there's a big question mark on exactly when the launch could take place. Are we going to be seeing it being pushed further, or will it happen in the next 24 hours? Now, interestingly, while it's been weather that's been the one factor that's delayed the launch, we also know that in pre-checks just before the launch, there were a few technical issues that were also ironed out. There was a liquid oxygen leak in the Falcon rocket. Besides that, also a thrust vector control malfunction. But I must highlight here that while there were these small snags, which is routine to ensure everything's in place just before launch, this didn't really lead to a delay because it was fixed much before the planned launch. But weather playing Spoilsport, like I highlighted. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that in the next 24 hours, we will see that historic moment of Captain Subhanshu Shukla going right up to the International Space Station, being the second Indian after 40 years to go to space. I want to bring in Shibu Tripathi, who's our science editor here on India Today, to get us the latest updates on the communications that's come in really from SpaceX on the launch. And also with us is Rohit Sharma. He is also live here in Florida, as we've ensured maximum teams on the ground to get you all the action from ground zero. I'm going to begin with you, Shibu, for the latest updates. You've been, of course, tracking the communications that have come in from SpaceX. At this point, there's a lot of talk that in the next 24 hours it could happen. A bit of frustration that it hasn't happened already. But this is standard. This is standard operating procedure, that right up till the last minute, there's a possibility of a delay, because their room for error here is zero, Shibu.
Good evening, Akshita, and rather good morning to you in Florida. Yes, there has been a slight delay in the launch of Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla to the International Space Station. The last update that we got from AXIOM-4 was about a day ago, when they announced that the launch has been delayed to June 11th. That will be Wednesday for us in India. At about 5:30 p.m. is when the liftoff is scheduled to happen. According to latest updates, the weather still looks that there's a 25% chance of rain and heavy thunderstorm. Now we know that when it comes to rocket science, lightning is a big issue for rocket missions. Apart from that, yes, there has also been some technical snags with the launch vehicle, particularly with the Falcon 9 rocket, which has had several liquid oxygen leaks that have been detected. Thrust control vector issues have been detected in the spacecraft. However, these technical snags were detected during the static fire test that was conducted a day before the announcement of delay. So SpaceX has said that they have fixed the issues with the Falcon 9 rocket. It's also important to note that Falcon 9 is a reusable launch vehicle. So the booster which will launch Shubhanshu Shukla to space has been launched before. About a few weeks back, it launched a batch of Starlink satellites to space and landed safely. Now, these issues was noted during the launch of the Starlink mission. However, during the refurbishment, they were also ignored again. Now, SpaceX has said that following the static fire test, the issues have been fixed, and we are hopeful that the weather will clear us for a launch. So that's the latest update that we have received from SpaceX and Axiom Space.
Can I just highlight here that, the last time around, in the sense that when the planned launch was on June 10th, about 48 hours ago, for all of us media who've registered with Axiom, NASA and with SpaceX, we were given a detailed breakdown of what's going to happen, when should we be reporting to the Kennedy Space Center. If this launch were to happen in the next 24 hours, I'd just like to highlight that so far, that communication hasn't come to us. So there's a big question mark, and that's led to so much speculation among foreign journalists and all of us sitting together, wondering if that means there's going to be a further delay. But from Axiom, the communication has been that, look, Weather is unpredictable. It's not in our hands. There are some factors in our hands, some beyond our reach. So those are factors that we can't talk about just yet. We'll have to wait and watch. But like I said, this is standard, routine, and I know all of us are getting rather impatient, waiting for that launch, that exact moment when we'll have Captain Subhanshu Shukla blasting off for space. Unfortunately, that wait is getting a bit longer. I'll bring in Rohit Sharma also, who's joining us live from Florida. Rohit, what's the forecast looking like? It comes down to one factor right now, which is weather. And when I looked really at the conditions and the predictions for the next few days, it seems to be, rain conditions for the next 1 week at least.
I know, and I think that's the biggest question, right? I mean, everything else is pretty much set. I think it's the weather that's holding everybody back. And as you and I were discussing off air, Akshita, looks like even if there's a 10% chance of rain, these missions are usually called off because of caution. So yes, it is a little gloomy. We have 40% chance of rain tonight. We have some 20%, 30% chance tomorrow. So I think that's why we are in a holding pattern as to say if this would go. And I remember, I was just looking up the last mission, it was canceled multiple times by NASA. They delayed it by 3 weeks and ultimately by a month because of the forecast here in Orlando, Florida. So I think it remains to be seen. But as of right now, I think all eyes are on that weather forecast. Will it allow Captain Subhanshu Shukla to take India into space?
So it's definitely happening. It's just a question of when right now. And we're, of course, hoping that it happens in the next 24 hours as planned. But there are two timelines, essentially, that SpaceX has kept right now. One is 8 a.m. Wednesday, tomorrow. The other is 7:37 a.m. on Thursday. It could happen on either of these dates. It could be pushed further as well. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that is the reality of the situation. That at this point, there's still a lot that's up in the air, quite literally. So we don't know just yet which way this could go. We're counting on it happening in the next 24 hours.